Hey guys, welcome to Big Loz Official. Today we're going to review the World Log Lifting Championships and Europe's Strongest Man 2018. So let's start with the log lifting. Really awesome lineup of log lifters this year. I think I said in my previous video that I was hoping to go in and have a shot at a 200 kilo attempt, which would have been a PB for me and still could have possibly placed me very low. We had Zadrunas Savickas, the current log lift world record holder, Ian Bibby, who's just been putting massive numbers up in training, Eddie Hall, who's just, an incredible strength athlete, and obviously guys like Graham Hicks, Rob Kearney, Robert Oberst, just to name a few. There were so many, brilliant log lifters. Competition was awesome. I tried to keep people updated on Twitter with the original kind of weights. I think we started on 175 kilos and everyone blitzed through that comfortably, except for Mark Felix and Terry, who decided in the warm-ups they were struggling a bit on the log. They knew how good the other log lifters were, so they decided to save their energy and focus on the rest of the show. I think then they jumped to 190, and I think most people got 190. There was one or two that dropped out. So straight away you've got a competition full of almost like 10 to 12 guys going over 190 kilos, which not that long ago was a world record. From then they jumped up to 200. A lot of guys still stayed in with 200 as well. It got rid of a couple of guys, but most of them managed to hit 200. And then the jump from 200 to 213, which I think I said in the previous video, would be a jump where it really would have affected a lot of people. And it kind of affected more people than I expected it to be honest. Going from that 200 to 213, we lost everyone except for Thor, Ian Bibby and Eddie Hall. Only those three guys managed to hit the 213. Zadrunas was looking really good in his lighter weights, but when the weight got heavy with 213, you could see maybe some of those injuries that he's had. His shoulder is a little bit weaker on the left hand side. He was a little bit lopsided trying to press the 213, and just not the Zadrunas that we're used to seeing. Although, to be fair to him, a week out he was very ill, upset stomach, and apparently it was coming out of both ends, so he was obviously a bit dehydrated and wasn't at his best. Graham Hicks also, leading up to the show, just wasn't feeling his best. And these are all little things that when you're trying to lift those huge numbers, just bring you that 5% down, and it makes a big difference. So I was unfortunate to see those guys go out a little bit earlier than maybe we would have expected. But we were left with Thor, who hit an Icelandic PB. Hello. Alexa's awake. So Thor hit an Icelandic PB, 213 kilos. Because he'd beaten everyone else in the Strongman show, he didn't even decide to do more than that. So then there was only Ian Bibby and Eddie Hall left in. The next jump was meant to be 220, but both of them agreed if they're going to have a shot at the world record to go straight for it and go for the 230 kilos. Ian Bibby came out first, really strong clean. The guy is just a beast. The size of his legs and his arms and his waist, he's just so thick and powerful. Really cleaned it very easily, to be honest. But you could see the weight was just a little bit too much for now. I think give him a few years, he's going to press that kind of weight. He just gets stronger all the time. A great athlete, a great character, and someone really good for the sport. We were after the log, him and myself were signing photos with people. He's so good with the fans, and genuinely just a good guy, and I'm looking forward to seeing what he's capable of down the line. So obviously with Ian Bibby out, it left Eddie to come and attempt the 230. Crowd was going absolutely insane. Everyone was kind of screaming for him to get it. Obviously we wanted to see a world record. He cleaned it. His first initial attempt wasn't that great. I don't know if he missed his line or what, but he just didn't kind of hit it right. Put it down. He had a few minutes rest, got a drink, came back. The crowd were going crazy again. And he gave it a good effort. He got quite close, couldn't quite lock it out, but it's not far away. And obviously he's disappointed that he didn't get the record. and maybe the crowd is disappointed as well. But from a personal perspective, I think it's good for Eddie to have something to keep working towards. He's such a strong guy, and you know, it'd be a shame to just see him quit right now. So I think if he can get his ankle sorted, get focused and motivated, you know, we've all seen what he's capable of when he's motivated to do something. So it'd be good to see him come back and get that record, and be challenged by guys like Ian Bibby and future youngsters coming through. The standard just gets better and better. So the bar's set. You know, he's gonna come back, and he'll give it another good attempt, and I'm sure he'll get it. It just wasn't to be on Saturday night. But overall, you know, great log lifting championships. Crowd enjoyed it. I enjoyed kind of watching. Log's one of those events. I used to be a British record holder, so I wouldn't say I'm bad at it, but over the last few years I suffered a few injuries, and it's taken me until about now really to get back to my best. But my PB of 190 is just nothing compared to what those guys are doing. Anyway, move on to Europe's Strongest Man. Really, really good show this. Everyone was expecting Thor to dominate. I think going into the show he was the heavy favourite. I said in my previous video that I really couldn't see anyone touching him. I will pick up on a few things that I said in that initial video. I mentioned Lalas, and I stand by the fact that I think Lalas in top shape would have really challenged to do well in this competition. I spoke to him before and he said he wasn't in great shape, and I think I said to you guys that he says that sometimes and then comes in awesome shape. To be fair to the guy, he wasn't in his best shape. He was struggling on the log. His deadlift was very good, to be fair to him, but you could just see he's picked up a few injuries and he's not quite at his best right now, and unfortunately on the farmer's walk he tweaked his calf and ended up having to pull out. Krzysztof Radzikowski as well. You know, he was looking good on the log, to be honest, but I think one of the events he ended up hurting his knee and he had to pull out. It's such a hard show, and it's so closely, you know, it's not like at World's Strongest Man where we have a week's long competition. You're doing all the events in a short period of time, and they're heavy events, and you just see people getting injured. And it was the reason I pulled out in the first place. I knew that if I did Europes, I probably would end up hurting myself and not go to Worlds. And I just wanted to give myself those few extra weeks. Because a lot of people were asking why I wasn't competing on the day. Because my training is starting to go better now and I'm starting to feel stronger again. But as I've got older, I've realised I need to be selective about the shows that I do. And this year being my 10th Worlds, I just want to focus on that. But anyway, back to the guys competing. So those two guys ended up having to pull out. Felix put a good solid performance in. He's almost 52 years of age and he's still competing at the top level. You know, he's not the Felix that we all remember a few years back, but he's still very consistent. You know, he doesn't have too many weaknesses apart from his pressing. His grip's really solid, his stones are good, his deadlift's awesome still, especially for reps. This deadlift I always expected to be a bit harder for him because it was a deadlift with a stiff bar, like an axle bar, which gets no flex. And Felix is actually a little bit weaker when you watch him off the floor. His lockout strength is very good, but this type of bar is a little bit harder for those first few inches, which suits the guys that are much more powerful off the floor. Who else? We have Terry Hollands. Obviously the log didn't go to plan. He knew the log wouldn't be that great for him. And then it's when you zero on an event with only 5 events in a competition, it's a lot of catching up to do. But he put a good solid performance in on all the events, and you know, I'm sure he's very pleased with. I think he ended up 6th overall. And he's kind of going through like a transitional phase at the moment. He's lost body weight. He's got a couple of injuries that he knows needs to get sorted, and a few shoulder and hip kind of mobility issues that he's working on. And, you know, a lot of the time with all of us, you have that stage where you're really at your best, and then you get injured, and you've got to kind of reevaluate and build back up and change things. And I guess I'm in that kind of situation as well at the moment. But you know, he's enjoying what he's doing, competing, still competing at the top level and doing well. Graham Hicks put in a really good performance to come 5th. you could see on the log he wasn't at his best. I think watching the 190 log, he actually needed 2 attempts to get it overhead. And I remember refereeing Graham when he originally broke the British record. He was making those weights just look like nothing. So, but he had tonsillitis, I think, the week leading up to the show. And like I said earlier, these little things, they take 5% off you. And at the top level, 5% is a lot. And you could just see he battled through to the end, didn't make any excuses, put in a good solid performance on every event, and well deserved 5th place. He's really a world class athlete now. He's up there with the best guys, and he's improved a lot of weaknesses. So if he gets that 5% extra in his next show, where he's feeling good, I expect to see big things from him. So then we move into top 4. Now, 2nd to 4th was very, very close. Only, I think, going into the stones, there was only like a point or 2 between the 3 of them. Zydrunas, you could tell, was a little bit down from his performance at Manchester at the end of last year, where he sort of really got back to his best. And again, he's been suffering with diarrhea and dehydration, and you could really see it affected him. I think his lead up to this was very good. He was very, very strong in the gym. He'd hit some big numbers on the log, but you could just see that it just wasn't quite there on the day. And that's sport, it happens. He doesn't make any excuses. He goes away and just comes back and gets better, and you have to respect that. Hey, you. Then Kielkowski was 3rd. This kid is fabulous. He's such a strong guy. I had a word with him because I think he's making mistakes that maybe I've made in the past by competing too much at the moment. He did the Arnold's. He did the Arnold's Australia. Came to Europe's. He's going to Brazil next week for a competition. And then we've got World's Strongest Man the week after, and he's kind of complaining that his shoulder was bad. You could see on the log he wasn't at his best on log. Normally he's a very, very good log presser. But his moving events are spectacular. He was very, very quick on the car walk, very, very quick on the farmer's walk. He actually came 1st on the stones. A lot of people were surprised that he won the stones over Thor. To be fair to Thor just plodded through because that's all he needed to do. I've seen Thor go much, much faster on the stones. But Kielkowski on every event was solid. He needs to get that deadlift a tiny bit better and just get himself back to his best on log. He was just suffering from tiredness really on it more than anything. And it's something I've learned over the years. You just can't be your best all the time. You've got to give your body that rest. And strongman's even heavier now than it was when I started. So, some of these younger guys need to think about prolonging their career and maybe not competing in everything. Pick the right shows, pick the big shows, and if he's smart, he's a future podium guy at World's Strongest Man, maybe even a winner. He's really that good on so many events. People think he's small. He's not. He's 6'4". He's 150 kilos. He's a big, strong guy and capable of putting some size on still. So it's going to be interesting to see what he can do in the next few years. We'll address something. They announced that he broke my world record on the car walk, which they put in the program that my car walk record was 11.9 something seconds, and I was pretty sure I'd gone faster than that, but I didn't know exactly my time, so they announced that he broke my record. I think he did 11.22. I went and looked back on the record that I hit in 2016. I did 11.05, and it might sound like I'm being petty, but you wouldn't ask Eddie Hall to take 20 kilos off his 500 kilo deadlift just to create a record in a competition. It's just a genuine mistake that was made, unfortunately, for TV purposes, but I worked hard for that record, and until it's actually beaten, I'm keeping hold of it. So, I'm glad to say I still have the record on the car walk, but, he's more than capable of beating it, but until he does, it's mine, and I'm keeping it. Anyway, second place was Janasha with his crazy traps. He is a very, very good all-round strongman and just seems to be getting better each year. Really lovely guy, he's always smiling, always happy to meet people. very, very good, consistent performance. He wasn't maybe the best at anything, but he just consistently performed well. He hit a really solid log lift. I think he hit 200 kilos on the log, which is awesome. His deadlift is fantastic. He moves very well, and his stones have got better. He finished all the stones comfortably. He just put in a solid performance, and deserved his second place. Finally, Thor. What can I say about Thor right now? He really is the man to beat. He's so motivated. He's doing absolutely everything right. His coach, he's got a good coach that works with him. He's got nutritionists that are working with him. The effort that he puts into recovery was... I went and trained with him before Worlds last year, and it really opened my eyes up on where I need to change up things with my own training. So training wise, I've always been pretty good. I know how to structure my training and get the best out of it, and that didn't really change when I went to train with him. I kind of realised, what I'm doing is the right kind of stuff, but the focus on recovery, treatments that he gets, massage treatments, ice heat therapy, oxygen therapy, loads of things just to get himself, recovering a little bit quicker and make those 1 or 2% differences that take you from, being really good to being absolutely great. And barring injuries or maybe a spectacular performance from Brian Shaw, I can't see anyone beating him at Worlds. The events are good for him. He doesn't have a weakness right now. He's really the full package, and he's going to go into World's Strongest Man as the heavy favourite. Anything can happen on the day, and the pressure of 6 times now being second or third could get to him, but he's got to be the favourite. He's hungry. Not winning last year has just motivated him more to come back and be the man. 6'9", 6'10", 195 kilos. He moves well. He throws Atlas stones up like they're pebbles. He was third on the log. Well, he was joint first on the log, I guess. A man that's that tall being able to press as much as he can. His deadlift form is just awesome. His coaches have worked hard with him. You can see videos of Thor deadlifting 300 kilos online and hitching and making it look terrible. Whereas now you watch him deadlift and you can't find better technique. It's really good, and he's motivated to just get better and better. And somehow he just keeps getting stronger every year. He deserved his win thoroughly. 4 times now he's won Europe's Strongest Man. He had a little guy from Swindon that beat him in between his 4 runs, but we won't mention him. But he really is an unbelievable athlete, and I'm looking forward to seeing what he can do at Worlds. But it was a great show. The crowd was amazing, like 12,000 people there. Just the energy inside the arena was awesome. I was lucky enough to do the VVIP meet and greet beforehand, and then the meet and greet after, and just the fans in Strongman right now are superb. So thank you to you guys for supporting these shows. Europe's is probably my favourite one-day show, but all the one-day shows are really worth getting down to and watching and supporting. I think they're better to go to those than to World's Strongest Man. World's Strongest Man's done over a long period of time. It's very stop-start. It's not so enjoyable as a fan, whereas the one-day shows, the action's great. You see all the top guys, and just the atmosphere is amazing. So if you're looking to go to a live show, look at one of the ones in the UK where the one-day shows, they're the ones to go to. There's quite a few coming up. We've got Manchester in September. There's the World Team Championships coming up in Stoke. There's Summer Mania in Southampton. UK Strongest Man in St Albans. So loads and loads of shows. And if you get a chance to go to them, make sure you do, because they really are good, and the sport's just growing. I love performing in front of a crowd. Obviously I've missed the first few shows of the year, but now I've got Worlds and then a few other big shows that I'm focused on. So I look forward to seeing lots of fans there. Europe's was awesome. Thor genuinely deserved to be the winner, and we will look forward to seeing what happens in the next shows. See you guys soon.